You know, the dream of a lot of entrepreneurs is to build a business that's so freaking awesome that some private equity firm would want to come in and would want to buy it for millions and millions and millions of dollars. But the harsh and the hard truth is this: 80% of businesses that go to market, as in the owner actually tries to sell them, 80% of them never sell. Now, most of these businesses are profitable. So it's not the profitability of the business that's preventing it from selling, but it's because the end buyers realize they're just buying another job. They're not buying a business. So today we want to break down the real reason that most owners can't sell their businesses and how to fix the one thing that's killing your freedom now and killing your exit in the future. Hey, welcome back to Own the Exit. This is the show for high-level leaders and business builders who want to design freedom using strategy and not just luck.
Yeah. I mean, most founders, they kind of think, selling is about profit. But the truth is, buyers don't want to buy a business that collapses if the owner goes on vacation.
Exactly.
Where it all revolves around them, right?
Absolutely. So today, let's talk about that hidden trap that's in, probably in your company that is keeping you from being able to get there to that desired end game and what it's actually going to take to make your business truly transferable.
Yeah.
All right. It starts with understanding what the core problem is. Most businesses, Aaron, are owner dependent. And we understand that that's the case when a business starts. I mean, it's the founder's brain, it's the founder's energy, it's the founder's relationships that establish the business. Mm-hmm. But this propagates for a long time, right? A lot longer than it should in most cases. Mm-hmm. The company is dependent on the owner. And what you realize is that without systems, without leverage, your company ends up being worth a fraction of what it actually could be if you simply took what was in your brain as the founder and you were able to document that, systematize that, and turn that into processes.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Now, we know, kind of being in the private equity space, specifically in the real estate world, that private equity is tightening their standards on acquisitions. When they're buying businesses, they're not looking to buy businesses that are so owner dependent. And so that dependency on you as the business owner creates a discount for them when they buy the business. And that makes sense, because why would you buy a business that essentially is just another job? Mm-hmm. That's why we hear of a lot of business exits that are smaller than you would expect, and the founder is having to do an earn out for 3, 4, 5, 6 years to prove that the business can actually function
without them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I think every business starts that way, though. I mean, if you think about not every business, but when you're an entrepreneur and you first start your couple of business, maybe you got a couple partners, right?
Yeah.
It all revolves around those partners and those founders, and that's normal because it has to. I mean, it's the guy starting it, right? Or girl or team or whatever. But then there has to be a point where it gradually transitions to where the founders can kind of extract themselves from the day-to-day and even the oversight to where they're completely, because then the business is worth more, right? Because then you can sell it almost as like a unit where it's like, it's not dependent on me or you or the guy who started it. It's worth way more because someone else can come in. Those relationships, those employees, it's not about them liking the guy who started it. It's not about everything kind of like he's the person with all the key knowledge. Like everything is kind of just like becomes its own separate business. Yeah. That can be scaled, that can be purchased. But I think a lot of times it's ego. Yeah. Especially with small business owners.
They just don't think that there's anybody out there that could do it better than them.
They don't.
They could run it.
They
name
the
that
business.
role.
It's their last name on the business. Yeah. Right. And it's like, it's their thing. Right.
It's like my first business, Edwards Landscaping, exactly. Caleb Edwards Landscaping.
Yeah. So
I did exit that business.
Congratulations.
I sold it to Tim Edwards Landscaping, which was kind of funny, actually.
So you lucked out on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I never want my name to be attached to it. And I think people do really well doing that sometimes. Like you see national businesses that are the name of the guy. Mm-hmm. So you can do it that way too. Yeah. But I think just completely separating, like I'm just a unknown, like I'm not part of, like me is not going to create that business valuation, right? It needs to be the business itself.
Because
with or without the founder.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the value that you individually bring to the marketplace, that warrants you getting a really good salary.
Right.
Right. Because someone should just hire you. But if you are a builder, truly a builder, then you're building something, and at some point that thing should not need you anymore. It's like kind of like the same definition of like a really good parent, right? Like success as a parent is not that my kids live with me until they're 35. Right? Success as a parent is that for a period of time they're dependent on me completely, and I take really good care of them.
For like a 20-year period.
Not even. No. But at some point, like progressively, as they continue to grow up, you want them to become more dependent on themselves and less dependent on you. Yeah. And that's actually the goal of building a business is if you want a business to actually be truly successful, it's not the amount of money that it makes. And this is not just anecdotal thought.
Yeah.
This is actually how private equity and someone who's looking to buy a business views it.
Yeah.
They view it as if you actually have a healthy, successful business, it's not about how much money it makes. It's how much money does it make and how dependent is it on
how much does it make without the founder?
Exactly. How much could it make without Aaron?
Well, and I think that's it's like, are you building a business or are you just building a job?
Yeah.
For yourself.
And the thing is
when you first start out, it's intertwined.
Right. Yeah, you have to.
But then it just is, because like somebody has to be the person that puts in the long hours and the risk, and the founder, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want that to always be revolving, around that person.
Yeah, you were mentioning in pre-show, like even Jeff Bezos, when he like worth $1 trillion or however much dude's worth, very, 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 very successful businesses, and he could probably just go on vacation for a year, and Amazon's not going to close down, right? He does that.
I think you're thinking.
But when it first started,
the trillion.
Elon, exactly. That's true.
But yeah, no, he's just But when it started out, I was just looking this week at like pictures of him, and I watched a video of Bezos in like '99 or something. Where he was doing this video tour of his office. Yeah. And he had like the cords like taped on the walls because they didn't have enough power.
Is it the one where he had Amazon spray painted on a piece of cardboard or something like that?
Yeah. And he was, if it wasn't for him, it all revolved around him.
Yeah.
He couldn't have sold it. Like it wasn't, but he had a vision to eventually
get it there.
Well, I think so, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe he just fell into it.
And I would say,
maybe he discovered it along the path. Like, hey, maybe I can actually get out of this thing and sell it.
Yeah.
But
and he took it public, and I guess that was his exit. But also, I think stories like Bezos, for example, it's really hard to compare us like everyday kind of just entrepreneurs,
normal entrepreneurs.
And not because we like anyone in this country is capable of achieving that kind of success. But the truth is like Bezos went like 11 years with Amazon losing money.
He just kept pouring it back in.
Yeah, he just kept. So
and
it's
people
not
didn't
like
understand it even at that time.
Yeah, so he's just a very, very unconventional path. Usually, if you're going 11 years and you haven't actually made any money, like most people would just quit by then. But I think ultimately, for everyday entrepreneurs, the real core realization that we have to have is that the individual entrepreneur's success hides the business's fragility, or how fragile the business itself is.
I like that.
How good the entrepreneur is can often mask how bad the business is.
Yeah, I like that, because it's like you think of all the businesses out there. If the founder died tomorrow, would the business? Yeah, it wouldn't.
Exactly.
Over half of them. Or 80%, I'm just making up a number.
Yeah.
But they can't.
Yeah.
But I think we're all on that journey, though. Like I even think about our businesses that we have. We have a few businesses. If me and you just kind of just bounce tomorrow, I don't think they would succeed.
Right.
Because they're early still.
Yeah.
And we kind of have to be, somebody has to be that person.
Yeah.
At first, for like a long time.
Yeah.
Like I think statistically, like even for tech companies, there's always the anomalies and stuff. But I think it's like 10 to 11 years.
Yeah.
Of like, it's all revolving around the founder, and like that guy's just working, and to eventually, 10 years, 15 years, I'm talking about huge exits.
Yeah.
where you sell for hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 billion. Like,
right.
It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like just, hey, let's start a business and extract myself and 2 years later sell it for millions of dollars. Like,
right.
There sometimes
it can happen,
but
and it does
the
happen.
usual is it's a very long.
Yeah.
path.
So I think the takeaway here is that it's just harder. It takes longer, and it takes the entrepreneur swallowing their ego and swallowing their pride a lot, because and that's what I was getting at with what I was saying just a moment ago, is when a really good entrepreneur hides a really bad business, then that feeds the ego of the entrepreneur. Like even the guy listening right now that hears me saying that and knows his business is like super fragile without him. It's almost like a stroke of ego. It's like, because you're so awesome, you can be successful in a really bad business. But imagine how successful you could be with your awesomeness plugged into a really good business, a business that was actually set up. And so that's kind of the
and it comes down to time too. It's like, do you really want it's if the business revolves around a single person, that's very weak.
Yeah.
And not good.
Right.
Because you might get taken out.
Of course, you might die.
You could.
You might die.
You might die. I mean, you might get paralyzed. You might get distracted. You might go over to a different thing. You might have a life thing. There's just so many different factors that will. So I think the goal when starting a business, I don't even think business owners think about this. A lot of them. Yeah. They just, because most of the businesses in the country, there's 33 million businesses in America, I think. And I think like 99% of them are small businesses. Yeah. So it's less than 500 employees. They don't even think like this. Right. They just think it's a job.
Right. I started a business.
They're not thinking the big
so I can make
exit.
more money than I can working for someone else.
Well, yeah, but I think we need to change that. Yeah. Where you start thinking of like, hey, yes, this is a job, but is there like an ultimate like goal here? Or am I just going to keep doing this until I die? And then when I die, the business just ceases to exist.
Well, I think entrepreneurs at our core, we're problem solvers. And so because we are good problem solvers, we typically are the ones that are stepping in and solving the problems for our business. And when we are the ones that are solving the problems, then, and there's not a systematic way to solve problems, then that's how it creates that owner dependency. But in private equity, they call it key man risk, right? Okay. So if they're looking to buy a business, one of the first things they do in due diligence on a business is, what's the key man risk? Like, who are the key players? Who's the key man or the key men or the key women in the business? And if they were all to walk away, what does this business look like? And so it really is a factor that an end buyer is going to consider. And that's the reason that 80% of businesses that get put on the market that are profitable, you don't try to sell a business that's not profitable. I mean, unless you're Instagram anomaly, right? And hasn't made any revenue, and Mark Zuckerberg walks into your living room of the, CEO of Instagram back in whenever it was 2009. Yeah. And offers him $1 billion to buy it.
And you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll take it. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, you do know we've never made any money, right?
Exactly.
But
we've been around for 3 years.
Exactly. Most businesses though, and that really worked out for Zuckerberg,
but that's just super rare.
$100 billion of enterprise value that was created off of $1 billion purchase of Instagram. Anyway, but the point that I'm kind of getting at is...
But I don't think the guys that... I'll just say this. The guys that sold it for the $1 billion, I think they're good. Like, I don't think they care that it's worth 100.
No,
like, they didn't get the short end of the... Totally. Like, because it was only because of the infrastructure and everything and, like, the capital that was able to take it to that, right? Yeah. I think they're fine. Yeah. They're like, hey, I'll take $1 billion. Yeah. And they split... It was like 3 of them or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so they made took a lot that of money. And they're like, hey,
they're happy.
If you want to take it to the because sometimes you got to realize, even when you're doing exits, like sometimes when you have a business, you can only take it so far.
Yeah, you only want to take it so far.
Your intelligence, your team, your risk tolerance, how many hours you want to work, the money that you have, which is very limited when you're an initial founder. Yeah, and so sometimes you're like, I'll give that to you for $1 billion. If you want to turn it to 100 billion, go for it. Yeah. And I'll just cash out. Yeah. I'm assuming that they were fine with that.
Yeah. Well, we got obviously a little bit off on a tangent talking about Instagram and billion dollar exits or whatever. It's not super relatable probably to most, but I think the thing that is relatable is when you're trying to sell a business, the reason 80% of them that owners try to sell, all of those businesses are profitable. So there's this imagination thing of like, if I've got a profitable, my business is making money, then surely somebody would want to buy like a cash flowing money making business. And it's not the case because of key man risk. Like if it's so dependent on you, they're going to look at that and say, well, no, you make a lot of money, but this business doesn't make a lot of money. And unless we get you with the deal, and that's why you have earnouts and all that kind of stuff, like significant earnouts in a lot of these kind of
multi-year.
Well, and it's in the age of personal brand, right? Where if somebody builds a business, like it's really easy for an entrepreneur who's building a successful business to like document their journey on the internet. And then their face is kind of the face of the business and all that kind of stuff. And so that's like the business and their personal brand are all kind of, integrated into one. Right. And that's becoming more and more common.
Yeah.
And so it's important to have the conversation now because, back even 20 years ago when 30 years ago when someone's building a business, they're not thinking about like their face being the brand of it as nearly as much as people do now.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I think that's the reality is that what makes you as the entrepreneur, the founder, what makes you indispensable at first is ultimately what makes your business unsellable in the end. And that's the difficult thing to navigate is like you're indispensable from your company because you're such a great problem solver. You're charismatic. You're good like at communicating with people, sales. Great at networking, great at sales. You could step into a meeting and like calm the storm in your team and and bring that alignment and bring that vision and bring all those things and be like
but what happens if you're gone, right?
Exactly.
That's
it's
tough,
really
man.
It's so tough
to transition to without you.
Yeah. And there's some of that.
It almost hurts too, right?
There's some of that like, you can't systematize good leadership.
Well, yeah.
Good leaders have good systems, but good systems can't replace good leaders. So every business has to have good leadership.
Yeah.
I think the challenge with that is like, how do you transfer good leadership skills? And that's why, you hear business consultants and coaches talk about all the time, the number one thing that you can be training your team on is leadership. The only number one thing. And it just seems like, no, I think the number one thing I could be training my team on is like how to do their job better. Like how to do, and it's like, but when you really step back and think about it, it's like, no, it's actually true. Good, sound leadership inside your team, a team, that's able to lead up and lead down, middle management that's able to lead up and lead down, right? Leading from the middle, people that are able to inspire, that are able to bring confidence, to bring a sense of calm and like, hey, everything's chaotic, but like, no, like we've got a plan, we can execute, we can do this and this, and bring the calm that's needed for everybody to actually feel like they can do their job. That's something that has to be transferred from the top down to the middle, down to the bottom.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's my comment earlier about it. It hurts almost.
Yeah.
When you're like the business founder, because you have to kind of release. And I think a lot of people don't want to do that, the initial founder. Yeah. They don't want to just give away their baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to. You have to be like, hey, I got, just like your thing with the kids, at some point it's like, you have to just let it go.
Yeah.
And you have to give it and just recognize and be like, hey, I got this thing going, but in order for it to go to the next stage, like I have to just give it away.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you've talked about this before, and I've remembered this. I'm like, oh, it's really good. Like as a father who's also like a Christian and also a little bit athletic and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, like when I'm with my daughter who's like super interested in soccer right now, or my son who's 5 years old and loves baseball.
Right.
Like I want to like be their father, but also I want to be their coach and teach them how to play these sports. And I also want to be their pastor and teach them like be their primary spirit. But you said something one time, and I can't remember if it was on an episode or if we were just talking about how like my boys need a coach. It's really good for them to have a coach. It's really good for them to have a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good for them to have teachers. And it's really good for them to have a dad, a father. And the father can step in and do some of all of those things.
Yeah, and I think the father's job is to like even facilitate that.
Make sure that those things are happening.
You know, to help.
And make sure that the coach is the right coach for your kid, and make sure that the pastor's the right pastor for your kid.
Because it's good to have other voices.
And that's the point that I'm making, is transferring that then over to business is like sometimes as the owner and the founder, we're the father, right? We're the father of the business.
Right.
We think that we should also be the best coach and the best pastor and the best teacher and the best whatever. But it's like, actually, we need to make sure that those things are being done, that leadership is happening.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be the ones that bring all of that leadership.
Well, it's
ourselves.
all about assembling the team, right?
Right.
It's about putting everyone together.
Right. You become a leader of leaders, a leader that creates leaders, a leader of leaders. And so that really is,
eventually,
that's how you level
if you do a good job, you eventually just begin to kind of fade out. Yeah. Yeah. Because,
and that's the same thing.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like you train up, you raise, like that's like legacy. Yeah. Right? Like eventually
legacy is like, your kids not needing you anymore.
Yeah, you kind of want to, and it's kind of like sad, you know?
It is.
Because you're like, you know, and it hurts because you're like, I want to be the guy, right? Yeah. But eventually you realize like you succeeded by getting the next, you know, whether it's your kids, whether it's your
your kids don't need you anymore. Your business doesn't need you anymore. That's success. Yeah. And it sucks sometimes. Like the feeling of the emotion of it sucks because you're like, I just want, it's part of us, ego.
And I think that's why so many people
us forever.
And that's why so many people never have a successful exit. Right. Because their
ego
like,
gets in the way.
They're like, no, ego.
Yeah. And it's also why a lot of kids fail to launch. Because parents would rather just take care of them their whole life. I mean, I tell my daughters that all the time. I'm like, that they, you know, they're 7 now. And they don't talk about it much, but they might mention from time to time, like when I get married, when I grow up and I'm like, oh, you're never going to get married. You're going to live with daddy your whole life. Right. Like, and I hope they do. Like, I actually want them to. Now, Zion, my son, I'm like, dude, you better have a job and like buy a house when you're 18. You know what I mean? Like, I love you that much that I want you to like,
but the house needs to be right next door though.
Yeah. It's got to be next door. Cause we got to still hang out a lot, but I want to see you like that. Like when I'm looking at my son, like I want to see you thrive in that way. My daughters, I'm like, I just want you to live in my house forever. Yeah. You know,
he's a little mini Caleb.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He even looks like you.
Yeah, he does. It's very true.
And acts like you.
It's true. It's very true. But back kind of on the subject, I think the thing that stands in the way and the thing that fixes it are one and the same. It's like leadership and ego and lack of systems. And it's transferring leadership and transferring systems and processes. You remember, I think it was episode, I don't know, maybe episode 66. By now. Episode 66 is what we have in the notes here. Joshua Monhay. He's a fractional CFO or COO. Remember? Yeah. He comes into businesses and basically helps owners with this very problem. Helps them to systematize, get everything that's in their head down on paper. And that's step number 1, where you actually have all the systems and processes that you're responsible for are recorded and documented. And now those things can now someone else can be trained to do those, or those can be looked at and figured out how could we automate some of this? How could we make this less dependent on you? There's actually, and I'm not a paid affiliate, and this is like, we literally have never had a conversation with this company. They don't sponsor On the Exit.
I thought you were going to say Celsius.
But, Celsius, they joked about that. I want Celsius to sponsor On the Exit because I drink 1 to 2 of these every day.
Yeah, and you push them on everybody too.
I do.
Yeah, you're like a dealer. You're like their best salesman.
I'm a dealer, Celsius dealer. No, there's an AI app though, and if you're an entrepreneur, you've probably seen it advertised on Facebook, Instagram. That's how I saw it. I've looked into it. It's called Scribe, Scribe AI, right? And it basically is a service, an AI tool that will record you doing any task that you do on your computer. Will record you doing that task. You can talk through doing it, or you can just do it, and it'll basically watch you do it. And And then it'll create a full-blown step-by-step SOP.
That's awesome.
Of you doing it, including grabbing screenshot like tutorial video segments.
Wow.
And explaining what's being done, screenshots of where to go on the screen, like every time it changes, like, and it'll draft a complete SOP just by watching you do your job or watching you do each individual task. And so there's all these tools that are so powerful in enabling business owners to be able to get their processes recorded and documented. But so that really is big takeaway number one. If you want to get your business to a place where it's sellable and you want to remove the key man risk out of the equation, the one thing that you can start doing this week is documenting all of the actual tasks and work that you do as the owner, as the founder. And then making sure that all of your other people in your business are documenting all the work and the tasks that they're doing. And using a tool like Scribe could be tremendously helpful in expediting that process of doing that.
That's good.
Yeah. So what are the last thoughts? I mean, sometimes I think there's a myth that, I can just work harder until I can hire someone to replace me. Right? I'll just work harder until I can hire, a high level closer.
That's not good.
Or whatever.
You gotta I have a friend who exited a business for about $40 million. And it was the guy I told you about. He's up in Canada. He had online. You met him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And his philosophy was like, I only want to hire somebody when it's like super painful.
Yeah.
Like where it hurts so much. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to like argue with you because you've been successful, but I kind of go the other way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to wait till it's painful.
Yeah.
I want to think ahead like a year. Like, who do we need in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months to start replacing, so we can start bit by bit extracting ourselves as founders and even team members, like how can I get everybody that's involved to step up by delegating some of their lower level tasks to new people. Yeah. So I don't know. My thought is always just like thinking ahead to like, the goal is always to just like work yourself out of a job. It is. And I always try to even the people that are employees and people that are working, I want to work them out of a job too. Yeah. They'll have a new job. Yeah. That's higher. Yeah. That manages, because that's how you scale. You always have to be trying to think of how to work yourself out of a job and how your team should work themselves out of a job. Yeah. But you got to look at each person to just kind of see like, are they the right person to kind of step up or maybe that is the right job for them, right? Maybe they're lower.
They're
level.
in their power. Maybe they're in their power alley. That's where their unique ability is best utilized.
But I think always trying to look at that, always trying to be like, that's where I disagree. And I was like, well, hey, you sold your business for a ton of money, but like maybe there was actually, maybe you could have done it easier and still sold it for the same. Yeah. You didn't have to work that hard. Yeah. You could have maybe got a few people in there and just hired earlier. But I think he was just kind of stubborn, He's like, I'm not going, like, no, I'm not going to, I can do this, not until it's like impossible. Right. Then he would like make the hire. But I don't know, maybe it's just, laziness. But I'm like, I want to get those people in early. Totally. I always want to have the best people in every, like, way before we need them even. Yeah. Because it's going to grow and scale. And you don't want to wait until you just, get $100 million thing going to then hire them. Right. Because then you're scrambling and because we know that's coming. Yeah. So we want to kind of get the right people in place before it so that you're set up and you're ready, right? Yeah. I think my response to like that kind of myth idea of I'll just work harder until I can hire someone to replace me. I think it's like, that's only one tiny piece of the equation. I mean, I think of, if you put on like just the investor lens, which I think to really do this the right way, you have to, from time to time as a business owner, put on the investor lens and say, would I buy this business? Would I buy my business? I like that. Yeah. And when you do that exercise, thinking through it that way, I think of like, I try to abide by like the Warren Buffett principles, right? Like
when you've got one of the most brilliant, successful investors of all time, and he's given us like free access to his wisdom in the forms of like sound bites and quotes, it's like, okay, probably should listen to those and maybe give those a little bit of weight. And he says like his whole philosophy was anchored in buying wonderfully simple businesses
that he understands.
Brilliantly simple businesses. That are so brilliantly simple that an idiot could run it. And then hiring wonderfully brilliant people to run it.
I like that.
And I think the work really hard until you can just hire someone is only one piece of the equation, because it's not the product or the service and its duplicability or lack of, you can have a complex service, something that's difficult for other people to duplicate or provide. I think about it's like the iPhone example. Like an iPhone is a very complex, sophisticated piece of technology. I can't just make one of those in my garage, but the operating system on it is so simple that my 7-year-old can use it. So that's you can have a complex product or service, but the operating system for how you sell and deliver that service needs to be so wonderfully simple that a 7-year-old could operate it.
Right.
And then you hire really brilliant people to operate it to maximize what you get out of it.
Right.
So to me, that's the work that has to be done at the business level, is how do you simplify and systematize and put into process every single thing that the business does, so that somebody like basically, if you can read a manual, you could do this task. Like if you could read a manual, you could do this task. Just follow step by step. That's wonderful. That's what it means to have a wonderfully simple business.
Right.
Your product, your service, what you provide may not be that simple, but the process of selling and delivering that should be wonderfully simple. And then you hire brilliant people to do those processes, and that's how you go to the other level. So, yeah, this is an awesome conversation. I think it's an important one for entrepreneurs. It's important for us, like you said.
It's just getting people thinking too on like, it's so easy to start a business and you never even think about like the exit. You never even think about extracting yourself from the value.
Yeah.
Right. It's because it all revolves. But I think it's really good to, I mean, even the business that you sold.
Yeah.
Like you had to make it so that you weren't the landscaping technician, right? Who was doing, you had to make it so that someone else could be that guy.
Yeah.
Or else you wouldn't have been able to sell it, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so
the beauty of a landscaping business is
the
beauty of a landscaping business is it's wonderfully simple.
Yeah. No,
you sell people on like
you mow their lawn,
doing their yard stuff.
Yeah.
It's wonderfully simple business. And they think about like the boring business.
How do you make it where it transfers? They all know.
We get so excited, by the way, that we just do this. We talk over each other all the time, and I love it. But continue.
No, sorry. I was just saying, how do you make it where you sell that business and all of those different customers that you have?
Yeah.
They know Caleb Edwards as the guy, right?
Yeah.
To replace you with the new guy.
Right.
That's always the challenge, right?
It's the challenge, yeah. Yeah, but at the end of the day, people are, the way you sell it, the way I sold it was by being like the young guy that all these older people in like a retiree community would want to do business with. So I would literally wear a shirt that was a size too big, would always be clean shaven so I could look young, because it made them feel like they were doing business with their grandson. But then once you get the business, what they care about is that you just deliver the service well. And so as long as somebody's delivering the same service really well, and you send them off well and leave them off well, and they know like, I'm not doing it anymore, but I've got you set up with someone. I wanted to make sure you were taken care of, all that kind of stuff. That's basically how I did it, right? Transitioning. So that was a wonderfly simple exit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But it's the same concept even on like hundreds of millions of dollars exits.
Yeah.
Those people want to know that they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
They want to know that the quality of the service and the product is going to be the same.
It's going to continue.
Even if the guy that started it is gone.
And the customer service and the experience and the, relationship. Because a lot of it's, all of business is a relationship game. It's just relationships at scale. Yeah. Well, this is great. This episode of On the Exit brought to you by, just kidding, not brought to you by Celsius, but Celsius, if you happen to watch this, I would love, and I honestly would mention you in every single episode if you just send me a couple of cases of Fantasy Vibe
Caleb is good on pushing the Celsius.
Yeah, I love them. I love them. I love them. All right.
Salesman.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye. See you next time.